This is a carburetor off of a 1938 John Deere Model G. You can see right here, it's a DLTX Model 24. So this is an unstyled G. It's the second year that the G was produced. And our friend is restoring the tractor, and this is the carburetor that was on it. And he gave it to us because pretty much every single component on this carburetor is frozen. The throttle is frozen. These load and idle circuit needles are frozen. The choke is frozen. This nut is frozen. Surprisingly, this brass valve right here to drain the float bowl is not frozen. Everything else is frozen. So anyway, I am going to soak it down with some PB Blaster and just keep on soaking it and then heating it every now and then and spraying it. It's going to take a while, and I hope that we can get this taken apart without breaking anything, but honestly, I don't know if I can, and I'm a little bit doubtful. But we got to start someplace, so here we go. So I have just finished spraying it down. Now we'll just let it sit and come back in a few more days, spray it a little bit more. We'll see if we can get this thing freed up and rebuilt. So amazingly, I've added a little bit of heat. This is still warm, but using a little bit of heat, I've freed up the throttle and also, oh, that's still hot. Also the choke, and I removed the choke already. And now I'm just taking the throttle apart. Let's see if I can get this guy. There it goes. I don't want to twist these off. But slowly but surely, with heat and with penetrating oil, we're getting this taken apart. There it goes. Got it. Now this can come right out. I just barely twisted this a little bit and it turned. There it goes. So I think one reason why this is coming out, and hopefully this other side will come out too, is because I filled up this float bowl with, through this vent right here, I basically just stuck the whole can, the spout of the WD-40 in there, and I just filled that whole thing up, and also through that hole right down there. Now we'll just have to work at the load side, and it looks a little bit rustier, but yeah, I'm going to try to heat that a little bit right there. Let's just hold this with a rag. Oh, look at that. It's turning. Let's try tightening it again. There we go. Just loosen it little by little. I don't like using tools here because I don't want to strip something, but let's try these pliers real carefully. Let's go back in a little bit. Let's go back out. There it is. Look at that. Bingo. And those threads still look great. And, oh, that's hot. That needle still looks really pretty good too. Now, I'm going to try here to just come and heat this. Oops, I'm dumping out all of my WD-40. Oh. Well, maybe that's okay. I will just flip this over and I'll try to get that right there. I wasn't joking when I told you I filled up the whole filled up that whole float bowl with WD-40. Let's wipe this up so that it doesn't make a huge mess. And I've got my fire extinguisher handy, so if that WD-40 lights on fire, I can put it out. I'm just going to heat up the nut so that it expands a little bit and lets go of the threads on the stem of that carburetor. Okay, that's heated. That's on securely. Here we go. Look at that. There it goes. Came loose. Maybe they'll be okay. Oh my goodness, look at that. Well, you can't see it yet. Those threads are perfect. I can't believe it. Can you see that? That worked beautifully. Let's pop this spring out. That's still in good shape too. Maybe I need to heat up around here. You know, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. This carburetor is pre-World War II. We're coming up on 85 years old. It's pretty crazy. Come on. Let's flip this over. Let's hit it down. Here we go. There it goes. Broke it loose. There she is. Now what we got to do is start to take out all of these screws. Ouch. Just burned my hand. That wasn't too bad. There, here, 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 here. This one's not as important, but we'll see if we can get it out. There it is. Got it. Got it. There it is. Got it. There it goes. Got it. No, I don't think this one's going to turn. And I don't want to strip it. Oh, it is turning. Look at that. There's what heat and WD-40 will do. I didn't break anything on this. That's great. The last challenge we have is getting that emulsion tube down inside there, inside this stem, is getting that pulled out. You've seen me do this before, but I like to see if I can find a big screw like this one. Screw it down in there, into that brass. And then I use a, yeah, that one should work. And then I'll show you what I use. Then I have this slide hammer, which usually does a really good job of pulling that out. It's coming. There it is. Pulled it right out. And as you can see, I buy only the finest tools, Kmart. Now I picked this up at a thrift store for $1, but it looked brand new when I got it, and it still works great. So. Nothing. Let's go again. There it goes. That turned it. Trying not to damage these threads or the head of that screw too much. It does a little bit of damage. I mean, this is brass, so it's soft. Let's try this side. Let me clean that out. There we go. Yep, that turned it. Perfect. Got it. To get this cap off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to use my impact driver on here. And let's see what happens. Get the sludge down in there. But that should clean up nicely. There it is. Bingo. So you can see how rusted that is. Here's the float. Surprisingly, it does not look too bad. Not bad at all. Here's the needle. The tip of that needle, it probably had like one of those little rubber tips on it. It is completely gone, I think. Bingo. Got that too. Here we go. 100% disassembled. Nothing broke from that rusted, solid rusted block that it was. We got every single piece out of this that we needed, and it all came out nice and smooth. So this is now sitting in this bath of chem dip, and these, all of the small components, this is just 100% acetone. It does a pretty good job of cleaning stuff up. And I've got those in that baby food jar, and then we'll let that sit for a day, and then okay. Now that carb cleaner is not going to remove the rust, so I wouldn't expect that, but it will help us as we clean out the passageways. So I just spent a few minutes using this brush right here. It's just a wire brush, but I used that, kind of went over the whole surface of the carburetor, both on the outside and on the inside here, and down inside the bore on both sides, just trying to break off any loose rust or get rid of any grime. And it's actually in really pretty good shape. As I said when we took this apart, let's see if I can get the camera to focus. Come on, focus. There we go. You can just see how good these threads are all the way around. Usually down here around the bottom especially, they'll be really deteriorated, but these are just fantastic. And lots of times I'll see cracks right here, but I don't see any cracks or anything like that, so everything is just in great shape. So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use a wire, and I'm just going to clean out all these passageways, make sure that everything's clean. This one goes down inside of this little hole. Can you see that? Then an often forgotten passage is from this little hole right here over into this tube right here where the needle goes. This goes through here. This is looking really good. Despite the rough beginning, this carburetor actually seems to be in really good shape. There's this vent. This goes over here. That's a nice big passage. It's can be full of like bugs. And then this one right here goes back to that vent. Oh no, it goes back to this. There it is. It's clear. This one is key for proper idling. Making sure that this one's clear. It goes from here back to here into this little passageway. That's nice and clean. Can you see down in there? I don't know if you can, but it's clean. Wow, this is good. And then through this hole right here, this just goes over here and goes into this hole right here. This is for idling. And then this one's drilled at an angle. Now we do have a couple of little holes down inside the choke side. So I mentioned we have that vent right there. And then also back here, there's a little bitty idle jet, or a little bitty jet, or a hole right there. Then there's this one that goes down into the emulsion tube. Everything is clean. Okay, I'm going to blow that out with carb cleaner and some compressed air. I'm doing this flow bowl right now, and you can see just how much rust and grime is packed down inside of there. This is a mess. So we'll get this all cleaned up. Okay, I've got it all cleaned off, and I've got it partially assembled with just the float bowl put on, and then this cap put on, and then I taped off the ends, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over and paint it. We're just going to do a really light coat, probably 2 really light coats, and then a thicker coat, and let it dry fully in between all of those. Anyway, while that is drying, that paint, I'm just going to turn my attention to all these internals. They've been soaking in just acetone, and I'm just going to use a piece of this Scotch-Brite and just really lightly just make sure that these are all cleaned. There's no residue or any debris on any of this, and then we can move forward with assembling once that paint is dry. It's been a couple days, and the paint has had a chance to dry on this carburetor and all of these other pieces right here. And I cleaned up all of the other components that go inside the carburetor. Everything was in really good shape except for the needle and seat. If you remember, when I took it apart, I thought that the end of that needle was like flat. No, it was rubber. And then when I cleaned everything and soaked it, then the rubber swelled up and it detached itself from the needle. So anyway, I went ahead and I bought an old used, it's not used, it's an old carburetor kit for these DLTX carburetors. I paid 25 bucks for it, and it says 30, but I paid 25. But anyway, I'm going to put this new carburetor kit. It has a new needle, new seat, new gaskets, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this together, put it in carburetor, and then this carburetor should be all rebuilt in good shape. I got this carburetor put back together and set it to factory specifications with the load and the idle circuits and then the float. Everything went together just fantastically. This should be a really good running and operating carburetor. And one thing that I will point out, this is for a 1938 Model G, which is a hand start. This choke is the configuration of this choke is specific to a hand start tractor. To turn the choke on or to activate the choke, you just flip that up, and then to turn it off, you flip it down. That's different from an electric start tractor. This is a carburetor from an electric start tractor with the choke here. So you can see that the choke here, it moves. I mean, it's still operating the same on the inside, but the lever, the orientation of the lever is different. To turn the choke on, you pull a lever and it just moves the choke back. To turn the choke off, push the lever forward. And so you can see that if you were to hook this choke up to a tractor that had an electric start, you would want to be hooking you can see that the configuration is different. This moves up and down to turn the choke on and off. This moves the choke frontwards and backwards to turn the choke on and off. Same, internal, same internal deal, but very different configuration. So just a small detail, but this should work really nicely, and it certainly did come a long ways from where it was when we started, with everything rusted tight and not functional at all. So anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this or anything else, and I appreciate anybody that comments or has any questions. Let me know.